Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to we're going to do a channel specific video, and I'm going to define the term emotional revolution for Dungeons and Dragons. So I believe that we have gone into the emotional revolution. When did this occur? It started about a year ago with comments by B. Dave Walters. He is the second best dungeon master in the world. He has done official content for Dungeons and Dragons, and he is the tied for number one dungeon master at D&D in a castle. Very fascinating, right? So, and he is reestablishing the goals for Dungeons and Dragons right now through what I am terming the emotional revolution. So in my humble opinion, it starts with B. Dave Walters, and it is continuing with you and I. All right, so what did B. Dave Walters do to change the direction of Dungeons and Dragons forever? Okay, so here's what he did. So first of all, what was the state before he took his action? So the state was if you just spun the dial and if you put the name of every YouTube commentator on the dial, every D&D YouTube commentator on a Wheel of Fortune wheel and spun the dial, you would hit the same philosophy at a rate of about 50 to 1, right? And they would all say the same thing. You say, hey, what's the goal of Dungeons and Dragons? Well, if you're having fun, you're doing it right. If everybody at the table is having fun, you're doing it right. I wish I had $1 for every time somebody had said this on YouTube. I'd be a millionaire, right? Like it's been repeated ad nauseum, and it's the most bog standard vanilla. It's become a banner to say I suck at D&D commentary. Like you don't need to listen to me because I'm absolutely nothing you need to hear, right? Like is the worst advice on Dungeons and Dragons, the laziest, most ridiculous, most useless advice on Dungeons and Dragons, right? And it was everywhere. You could get it at literally on every channel, and many channels have not stopped. It's still going, right? But there is this revolution now, this emotional revolution. So what is the emotional revolution in Dungeons and Dragons? So B. Dave Walters comes in, and this very nice German lady interviewed him for D&D in a castle, right? Did an independent interview about D&D in a castle and talked to B. Dave Walters. And she said, so, tell me about what you're doing when you're dungeon mastering. And he said, I am looking to evoke an emotional response. If someone at the table is feeling something, it's a success. That's huge, right? He's not saying we're going to have fun, right? Because fun ends at laughter. That's the only emotion you're allowed to have, right? You can't cry when you're having fun. It brings the mood down, right? Sets the wrong vibe, right? In fact, you're not allowed to express awe. Fun draws this tiny box around everybody. Keep smiling. Whatever nonsense your dungeon master served up, whatever nonsense your fellow players at the table served up, you have to keep laughing and smiling. Don't you dare get sad. Don't you dare emote. Don't you dare show emotion, right? It's all fun here, right? And it's been this tyranny. It's been the tyranny of the fun mockers for a long time, right? And it was them imposing their incredibly small, incredibly selfish view of Dungeons and Dragons on everyone and saying, you're not allowed to feel here. And we did this not only did we do this with horrible dungeon masters, like saying the second after, did you have fun? I went to a game convention recently. I went to I played in 2 games, both the Dungeon Master. Did you have fun? That's all that matters is if you had fun. And I'm going to ask you right here so that I'll have it on record. Because I know if I'm asking you to your face, you're not going to say, no, your game sucked. I'm not going to say that to somebody, even if it did, right? Like, and there's a social pressure, and there's been this social pressure for saying, hey, there's a tiny box about what you're allowed to express at a D&D table. And it's lasted for 50 years, and it's time for it to end. And the emotional revolution is coming for that. And I think it started with B. Dave Walters' quote. He's saying, and this is the brilliant part too. He didn't say, hey, charge up this hill with me. All he did was become one of the top 3 dungeon masters in the world, and then say, this is what I do. And what I love about that is inside is like, you're a little chumpty. You can do whatever you want at your chumpty game, but this is what the best do. The best are going to evoke an emotional response. So then I felt like, as soon as he said, I'm going to evoke an emotional response, I was like, okay, so my natural question, I think anyone's natural question is, what are you talking about? How far does this extend? Right? And he answered it. Like, he answered the unasked question, right? So she keeps talking to him, and she's like, so, tell me more about how you run, right? And he's like, it is cathartic. We just get it out. You get it out. And I was like, what? And actually, I'm sorry. He said specifically, it is cathartic. You just get it out. You get it out. And I was like, cathartic? What does he mean there? I want to make sure I'm positive I understand what B. Dave Walters means when he says it is cathartic. Dungeons & Dragons. And the it is Dungeons & Dragons, right? Like, so, because that's what he's running there. He's running Dungeons & Dragons in a castle, right? And that's what they're talking about, right? Like, so this isn't and so then I go and I look up the word cathartic. Do you know what it means? It means psychological relief from a strong emotion. So he is looking to evoke an emotion and surprise someone, not everyone, just one person, someone. He's saying the purpose of Dungeons & Dragons is to evoke emotional response and to supply psychological relief to one person at the table. What? That is shocking. That is absolutely shocking. Like, just incredible. Like, that is an incredible statement, right? And so basically, now that we're in the middle of the emotional revolution, okay? So what is the emotional revolution? It is every dungeon master saying, what am I going to do? Am I going to draw a tiny little box and everybody at my table is forced to have fun? Because we all have to have fun. Everybody has to have the same emotion. Everybody has to have the same experience. We all have to have fun, and then I'm doing it right. Or am I going to run a table where I will attempt to evoke emotional responses, and if one person feels something real, it's a success. That's a completely new definition. Also, I am attempting to provide psychological relief to someone at the table. Catharsis. What? That is a revolution. That is an emotional revolution. I've defined it here as what I believe it to be. Every single word you heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like subscribing and have a fetch millennium.